Brannon, it's been a wonderful week here playing chamber music with you and getting to know you for the very first time. I've heard a lot about you, and it's all true.
You bet.
It's all good stuff. But here we are in Bridgehampton, and it's been great playing chamber music together. And I've been really curious to ask you all about your cello because it sounds fantastic. What is it?
My cello is by Antonio Casini. It's from Modena, Italy. It's made in 1668. And it's in remarkable condition for how old it is. And
yeah, because old instruments like this would get beaten up. You know, they didn't really have proper cases back then, right? So
actually, turns out a lot of his cellos, actually we don't know how many cellos he made, but there's only a few remaining in the world. And this is, I think, the best, the one in the best condition.
Yeah, so did he make like cellos, like you said there are a few cellos, are there other instruments like violins and most importantly violas?
Yeah, of course. Yes, there are Casini violas and violins. I believe Curtis has a Casini viola.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, my friend was playing on one and we played together actually.
Oh, so how was that? Like, did the instruments get along?
Yeah. The sounds, they kind of gravitated towards each other, and I haven't played with Casini violin, but I saw one at Bein & Fushi in Chicago a few years ago.
And do they look alike? I mean, I don't know Casini, so do you know anything about like Modena? So was there a school that he was associated with? Or?
Actually, I went to Modena with this cello, and I went to a luthier there and wanted to know more about Casini, and he wasn't able to give me a lot of information. He actually had all these books, and there was one little blurb about
so it's like
Casini.
Yeah.
It's
Which
like
one is that?
2 paragraphs. And I mean, as you can see, it is quite rugged. It's
how do you mean? So like in terms of the workmanship, or?
Yeah, the purfling is not perfect by any means. It's like most instruments, it's asymmetrical slightly, and the F-holes I think are very unique. They're huge. I can fit my pinky under. Yeah. And
is sometimes with very large F-holes on old instruments, that might be a sign that the instrument was cut down. Do you know if this
I'm pretty sure it was cut down. And the back is 2 pieces, and And
it's a beautiful instrument. How did you come to have this instrument? How long have you played it?
So I was originally playing on a Carl Becker Senior, made in 1940 from Chicago, and it's a very powerful and responsive instrument. Yeah. And I went pretty far with it, and I was ready to change to a much more sophisticated and colorful sound. Yeah. And I was looking for about 2 years. I went all over the East Coast, to Europe as well, and a lot of the old Italian instruments that I tried weren't powerful enough for me. Okay. So this one,
especially coming from a Becker, which is like a powerhouse.
Yeah. It was hard to adjust actually, and this one came through Christoph Landon's shop in New York City. Yeah. And I was one of the first people to try it. And at first, because I'm trying a whole bunch of cellos, I tried this one, and it was very beautiful, but it was so different from the Becker. It felt quite far away, actually, distant, the sound somehow. So actually, at first I passed on it. I said, oh, it's a beautiful old instrument. And then they said, oh, maybe you should take another look at this one.
Yeah, because they heard it and they're like, oh, that sounds good.
And
come on, Brannon, try it again.
Yeah, I'm glad they did. Yeah. I'm really glad they did, because the more time I spent on it, the more I realized there's something really deep and like meaningful about this sound. Yeah. And so my parents, luckily, fortunately, they were able to buy it. They were at that point downsizing houses. So yeah, it worked out so fortunately, and it took me.
So was this the sunroom, or was this the this was a portion of the house?
The whole property. Yeah. Yeah. And it took me a few years to really learn how to play it comfortably.
And you said how many years have you had this now?
We got it in early 2015, I believe.
Oh, yeah, okay, 8 years.
So yeah, and I feel like actually every piece I learn, I have to learn it on this instrument, because every single note on this cello feels different. And
it
so
feels different than what you learned on the Becker.
Oh no, I mean from each other.
Oh, every note, every single pitch on this specific instrument.
Both, left hand and right hand. It's not, you can't just like paint it all with the same brush.
Yeah.
And it teaches me a lot because of that.
Yeah. So you're kind of always experimenting and seeing what the cello is telling you.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And it's really interesting because I think sometimes, like with older instruments, it takes a little bit of distance sometimes for the sound to unpack, right? And like with the Becker, it's more like right in your zone and
it's like immediate.
And feeling. Is the scroll original to the instrument?
Yes, it is. And the scroll, it's pretty big, just like yours actually. And it's someone, a luthier in Brussels, looked at this once and called it creme brûlée.
Creme brûlée.
I think it's really appropriate.
Yeah. Oh, like a little toasted,
like the burnt sugar.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And you see the little like cream under, the little whites, the yellows under the burnt sugar.
Do you have a name for the instrument? Because you said creme brûlée, so I'm like, oh, okay, maybe you have a name. Yeah.
I guess it would be male. It has a very deep voice, and actually, a lot of people say it reflects my voice somehow. It's maybe a bit sleepy like me, but
I found you to be sleepy. That's interesting. And so, do you feel like this is your cello for life?
Oh yeah.
Wow, that's really great to hear.
And I'm just, it's living such a long life. I'm just a blip in its
you're the caretaker.
Journey.
Yeah. Fantastic. I'd love to hear you play a few notes by yourself if you're willing.
Yeah, sure.
Are you getting bitten?
Yeah.